forget this. Right? And you see, there's a whole, somebody collected together, so these times, people who say no Umar hit, right? You know, once I think Sayyidina Uthman was late to Asr or something like that, or late to Dhuhr. And he's told him, Sayyidina Uthman or Sayyidina Ali, one of the two. So he saw him praying, and he was like, he left. One was leaving. Sayyidina Umar was leaving the masjid, and then Sayyidina Ali or Sayyidina Uthman comes, and he says like, you know, why are you late? He says, oh, I was busy with this, busy with that. It happened. He says, tafaft. He says, you cut yourself short. You sold yourself cheap, right? Don't do that. You're Sayyidina Uthman. You can't be late to Asr, you know, or obviously there's reasons, right? But so many times, so Sayyidina Umar, his standards were very, very high, right? Very, very high. And what did he tell his governors, right? Imagine president becoming the president, and what did he sit down and talk to, you know, the assembly or whoever he's going to talk to. He says, the most important thing for me, you guys, is prayer. I want you to pray on time. I don't care about roads and garrisons and taxation and all that. That's all great, but I need you to pray on time, because if you don't pray on time, everything else will be worse. If you get the prayer done, everything else will be fine. If you don't pray on time, nothing else. The taxation will not work. Justice won't work. Nothing else. Right? So get the prayer down. Right? SubhanAllah. Anyway, so the mentality is like this. We can't deal with miraculous food. We need variation, right? So we shouldn't be like that. Variation for the sake of Allah. You know, variation for the sake of Allah. You need to change your diet. You realize you're having too much protein. Or something, or whatever it is, or too many one type of protein, right? So you need something else, you know, finding different sources. You know, realizing you're having, I don't know, let's say calcium. Is it going to get too much calcium? No. Something's going to build up. But anyway, that's for the sake of Allah. Like I'm having variation for the sake of Allah, or whatever it is, right? But that's totally different to, oh, I'm just bored, right? I'm just bored. Let's try something else. You know, which type of coffee have I not tried? Coffee is just a tool to stay awake, right? It's just a tool. So everything, we should be more interested in other things, that we don't need to be entertained by whatever is something new. Right? Oh, I've seen that before. It shouldn't be like that. May Allah protect us.
وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا كَمَا آمَنَ النَّاسُ.
قِيلَ. So this is slightly different. قِيلَ is a bit different, because we're trying to do the passive now. If I said kutiba, it was written. Kutiba. It was written. Qutila, he was killed. Qutila. Ukila, it was eaten. Ukila. Okay, I'm going to try and do the same thing with qala. So it's going to look like this. Qaf, waw, lam. Quwila. Quwila. Now that doesn't sound very good at all. Quwila. Because the waw is a weak letter, it's awkward to pronounce. I can pronounce it, but Arabs, they find that very difficult to pronounce. It's very strange. Like a strange sound. It doesn't exist. So there's basically two ways that they try to pronounce it, or three ways they used to pronounce it. Okay? One of them does not come in the Quran at all, right? Which is basically this. Qula. That doesn't come in the Quran. Okay, that you don't see that in the Quran. That's a dialect, right? You know, it's like it exists. The other one is, which you find in the Quran, is qila. Qila. It was said. Right? And that's quite common. Qila. It was said, or it is said. Qila. Okay? So that's the normal way of doing it. The third way is to keep 1/3 of the Dhamma, which is qila. So that's a very subtle sound, right? Very subtle sound. The problem is that it doesn't make sense. You can't say qila because what happened to the Dhamma? And you can't say qula, what happened to the kasra? You can't say qula, it doesn't work. So these are two dialects, right? So in Hafs and Asim, we recite qila. We do not recite qila. That doesn't exist. It's just qila. Hafs and Asim is famous today because it's the easiest, right? It's just make sure everybody does something that's easy, right? And that's fine, right? So qila. But you will find, for example, si'at, which is the same thing. Seen Sin, wow, hamza. Same kind of problem. Si'at wujuhu alladhina kafaru. Swi'at wujuhu alladhina kafaru. Swi'at, which is kind of a third of a dhamma plus 2/3 of a kasra. Right? And so that's another way. Or qila, qila. So that's the word there. Okay? Do we have time left? Maybe we have another 5-10 minutes, right? Okay. So here's the problem. So the first issue with qala and kana is they look weird. But they don't look too weird because there are a bunch of other verbs the same, right? And it's predictable. Any verb with a wow in the middle will do the same thing. We said dama, we said all sorts of other things. The issue now is with kana has a funny structure. Okay? It has a funny sentence structure. So kana will always have 3 parts in its sentence. So normally a verb just needs, go ahead, yeah. Mm-hmm. For kana? No, because kana is not really doing anything with a verb. Like it means it was. What's the passive of being that doesn't even make any sense, right? As opposed to as opposed to something else, another verb. Slina, هذا المكان. This place was protected. Slina, from sana yasunu, right? It's not used very much. Qima Ramadanu. Ramadan was fasted, but nobody says that. Like that's just a kind of a structure that you could create, but nobody actually says it. Qila is very common. And you even have the phrase qil wa qal, which means chit chat. Qil wa qal. He said, and somebody said, and he said, and somebody said, right? Right. It exists in Farsi. Laqlaqa? No. Laqlaqa? I thought there was a word. In Arabic, laqlaqa as well. It's just a chit chat. Laqlaqa. There's a word. I thought there's a word like that. Guftago. Like he said, and then guft. Guft.
Said.
Go. You and say. Yeah.
Guftago, like back and forth.
Yeah. Guftago. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so kana on a sentence level always has 3 units. Okay. 1, 2, 3. So kana, for example, an-nasu. People were. Okay, and this is in the nominative. With the dhamma or any other sign of the dhamma. Kana nasu. Ummatan. They were one nation. Ummatan. Okay? It always has these 3 things. Kana plus the subject and then the predicate. And the predicate is always accusative. So the accusative is not, the predicate is not usually accusative. You say ana faridun. Right? That's how the normal thing. Allahu kareemun. Right? That's a normal sentence. But when it's with kana, it's not. So if you think about it in English or in Farsi, that's totally different. Because in English, there's no difference between I am and I was. Like I am Farid, I was Farid. And why, why would it be any different? In Arabic, when you say I am Farid, there's no verb. You just say I, Farid. There's no verb. But when you say I was Farid or I will be Farid, you're going to use a verb. So it's actually a different structure, right? You're going to say kana nasu ummatan. It's going to be accusative. So if you look at 19, kanu muhsinin, kanu muslimin, that's accusative. Or kanu muslimun, kanu muslimin, accusative, right? So it's going to have a fatha or a ya or any other sign of the accusative, okay? So kana Allahu aliman hakima, right? In the salata kanat, that's not a good example, but in the salata kanat ala mu'minina kitaban mawquta. Right? So the predicate of kana will always be in the accusative. So that's something that's now different. We've never seen a sentence like that where you have a verb followed by subject predicate. That's a new structure that we've never seen before. What we've seen before is subject predicate, ana faridun, or akala zaydun at-ta'ama. Zayd ate the food. That's what we're not used to seeing. And you can say akala zaydun, zayd ate. And you can say akala zaydun at-ta'ama, right? That's what you can say both. You don't have to have an object. Here you have to have a predicate of kana. Otherwise the sentence doesn't make sense. The people were one nation. You have to have the 3 units in every single sentence you have that exists. Make sense? Okay, so if you look at 19 again, let's try and find the predicate of kana in 19. We have a little time left, I believe. Yeah. So just find 1 or 2 examples on, here. So try and find the predicate of kana. Trying to find a word that's an accusative because by being the predicate of kana. So in the English, it's going to be the word that comes after was or were. Ummatan wahidatan, right? Normally I say an-nasu ummatun wahidatun. People are one nation. But if it's in the past, kana an-nasu ummatan wahidatan. Okay, another example. That's slightly different because you got the min before it. But kanu muslimin, number 7. Kanu muslimin, not kanu muslimun. Kanu muslimin has to be. كانوا قبل ذلك محسنين, not محسنون. كان الله غفورا رحيما. Right, number 15. Not غفور, غفورا.
Number 10.
إني كنا ظالمين. كنا ظالمين, not ظالمون. Inshallah. Maybe we can stop there, inshallah ta'ala. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان الله وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.